Hi, and welcome to Abel's Career Corner. And my name is Abel Garcia, and we're starting this show that's all about you. It's all about you because we have tips, we have ways of helping you get what you want from your career. Having spent 10 years in the executive search business, I learned how to be able to help people market themselves to the top. We're a product, and we should market ourselves like a product. So if you've had any frustrations that people don't understand you, or you can't give your message concise, if you feel that you're qualified but you just can't get that message across, this is a program to watch. We're going to give you some very succinct tips, some very concise tips. It's not about general, it's about very specifics. It's what we used for our candidates to successfully place them in the job that they wanted. So we want you to stick with us because this program is all about you. We're going to show you how to market yourself to the top. You know, the most important product you will ever market is yourself. And so we want you to join us and learn how you can market yourself to the top. We're going to have a great deal of fun because we're going to be helping you help yourself. So today we have first guest, special guest, Miguel Lozano. Miguel Lozano has a very interesting story that I think you're going to be able to relate to because I know that there's a lot of frustrations and a lot of roadblocks and a lot of challenges in you finding the right thing that you want to do, the right job that you're going to enjoy. So without much further ado, why don't we introduce Miguel and let him tell us our story. Miguel, welcome to Abel's Career Corner, first of all.
Thank you.
Thank you for being our guest. And why don't we begin by you telling us what you did before in your professional career, and we can move on from there as to what happened afterwards.
Yeah, sure. I am an industrial engineer. I worked for many years in the automotive industry in the quality engineering function. And I had the opportunity to work in many different companies in different countries even. I worked in Canada and then Mexico and in Alabama here in the U.S. And now I'm here in Houston working in healthcare.
Was there something in particular that you maybe didn't feel comfortable about your previous job or didn't enjoy about your job?
Yes, well, I enjoyed, I had a great career. The companies that I was with treated me very well, and I learned a lot in the automotive industry and manufacturing. But I felt like a misfit all this time because I was involved in the operation and manufacturing. And I just felt that I was not using all of my skills that I could offer. And just the pace of the work and the type of the work, I felt that something was off all this time because I felt more that I enjoyed more the people aspect of the job than the actual processes and the equipment and the manufacturing side of it. And so I always felt that there was a bit of a misfit situation there.
Was there something in particular that you perhaps maybe, dislike is a strong word, but maybe, in dealing with the people that you dealt with and how you had to deal with them, or perhaps even as your last job where you had to perhaps thinking of cutting back, I think you mentioned?
Yes. Well, I think I think in my personality is more as being like a coach or a mentor, that type of function. I really enjoy doing that. I enjoy training people and teaching people. And the type of job that I had, it was just very fast-paced. You have to get production out the door. You have to fix problems. It was like being a firefighter all day. And it was a very confrontational type of role because you have to get things done, and you don't have time to sit down and train people and show people why things have to be done a certain way. You just, hey, this has to be done, and don't ask me any questions. And it just became very grueling. It's just not, it didn't go with my personality and my natural skill sets. And that's why I started having this feeling that, well, maybe this is not really for me. There's got to be something out there that's a better fit for me.
You know, it's always challenging the operations when you have a quality engineer, because again, it's like you say, it's kind of confrontational. You have people that enjoy doing the way they've been doing it before, and here comes the quality engineer tells you, well, I'm glad you enjoyed it, but there's a better way, and there is a better way. But so tell us a little bit about once you decided that that wasn't what you really wanted to do because of your personality, what you really wanted to wish for or think about. Oh, how did you go about making or trying to make a change? What kind of challenges did you hit there?
Yes, well, this happened after several years. I spent almost 15 years in different roles in operations and manufacturing, and I finally decided that I wanted to try something different and look for something a little bit different. And that's where I ran into trouble, because when you start applying for jobs that don't match exactly your resume, then you don't get any callbacks, right? And if you talk to recruiters, that all they do is they're trying to match people with jobs, same thing. You talk to the recruiter and you tell them, well, I'm a quality engineering expert in manufacturing, but I want to try something a little bit different. And then you lose them right there, because they're looking for that specific match. And I don't feel that they had the time really to coach you and listen to you and try to help you get to where you want to be. And so that became very frustrating after a while, because I said, well, nobody really cares. And you start getting, the time starts passing by, weeks and months and almost a year, and you're not really getting any traction. And it becomes very frustrating.
So you had an opportunity to try the Abels Career Corner type of concept and marketing and so forth in your search. So tell us a little bit about that. What happened when you were able to do that initially, and then on moving forward?
Well, I think the first thing that I think was great was having you pick up the phone and actually spending a long. I remember our first conversation. You spent a lot of time listening to me and asking me a lot of questions, and I thought, well, finally somebody cares. So I really appreciate that. But then when we started meeting and going through the portfolio process, I noticed that it was a lot harder than I anticipated, because it really makes you think and put down on paper a lot of things that you take for granted. And so it was. I think it was a difficult process. It was a challenging process, but it was very helpful to define exactly what it was that I was looking for, because sometimes you have that feeling that you're not happy where you are, and you have some idea of where you want to go. But if you can't express it, if you can't verbalize it quickly to somebody, then it doesn't work, because then people don't take you seriously, and people say, well, he doesn't know what he wants, so I'm wasting my time with this guy, right? And I think the portfolio helps you accomplish that.
Now, just for the audience's sake, the portfolio is a rather than the resume, it's a number of pages that describe who you are, what you do, kind of a brochure of product you. Is that right?
Yes, that's exactly what it is. It's colorful, and it has many different sections. And it does cover a lot more than your resume, because your resume only shows the basic things that you've accomplished in a very compact manner. But the portfolio helps you expand on it, and you have the opportunity to put in there things like your main accomplishments, your main skills, and you get to describe your areas of expertise. And it's all very clearly laid out in such a way that it's very inviting and convincing, not only for the person that's reading it, but for yourself, because going through that exercise also helps you very definitely come up with all of those things about yourself. And you learn a lot about yourself while you're doing it too, because it's some things that you take for granted. These are things that you do on a daily basis, and you're really good at them, but you don't realize it until you sit down and think about it and put it in writing. And when the whole thing is done, I mean, you impress yourself saying, wow, I'm able to do all this? Yes, I can. And that gives you a lot of confidence to be able to go out there and sell it and be very convincing.
That's a great answer because, as you well know, and perhaps the audience can share this with you, we spend more time beating up on ourselves than anybody else. We're our worst enemy. And when we stop to think, you mentioned that it was difficult to do, not the process, but difficult to kind of rediscover who you are and go ahead and put it on paper and in a presentation of how does this product work and what does it do? Would that be a good kind of answer for that?
Yes, that's exactly what it is. It's like you said, it's a brochure and it's selling yourself. And yes, I agree that we tend to be very humble. And for some reason, that's just the way we are. And people tell you, oh, you're really good at this. And the first instinct, oh, no, that's not true. We just tend to do that. I don't know why, but it's just human nature, I guess, that we just beat up on ourselves. And but I think it's a great exercise to go through that. And it took me, I remember, several weeks even to carefully select all the words that describe yourself and really think about what are the main things that you bring to the table in a job? What are the skills that you're best at? And thinking about those things and putting them in writing is just a great exercise to go through.
You had a great transformation, which I'd like for you to share with the audience. Not only were you, and in your own words, not only were you able to leave the profession and the type of work you were doing, but you embarked on something else that was totally different and new that you had not thought about, but you went through with it with confidence and with courage. And can you share a little bit about how that happened, that you went into a different field? I know that a lot of people would like fields, but they say, well, I don't do that. So perhaps from your description of what happened with you on thinking of another field and actually doing another field.
Yes. Well, right now I work in healthcare in a world-renowned hospital in the medical center. And the idea came actually from this process and having the conversations with you, because the portfolio is really part of it. The other part is having the conversations and you asking and asking the probing questions and getting me to talk. And I remember that we talked about the idea of nonprofits. And you said, well, don't throw away your career in quality engineering. We need people in the world to fix problems. So don't throw that away, but maybe you can apply that in a different industry where it's more people focused, more than parts and processes and machines, which is not really what I was passionate about. And that's how the idea came. And so I saw an opportunity to apply for this job in the hospital where they actually have quality engineers in there. And I love the role because it's a role where I'm like an internal consultant. I'm a facilitator where I get groups and teams and get them to work on projects, and I do a lot of training, a lot of mentoring. And so it was a perfect fit for me because I was able to apply all the experience that I had in manufacturing and to apply it in a function where it's a service to people to make life better for patients, make healthcare more efficient. And at the same time, the job function was a better fit for me because I got to be more of a mentor and a coach and a facilitator. And I was able to do a lot of training, which is something that I enjoy doing. And it's a skill that was hidden because in my previous jobs, I did very little of it. And it's amazing once you find the right fit for you, it's like all these skills that you have just come out and flourish to the point where now I'm even teaching at a local college at night. I was invited to teach, so I'm doing that. And I decided to go back to school and get my PhD. I never thought when I was going through my undergrad, I said 4 years of this is enough. I'll never go back to school. And now here I am. I'm working on my dissertation, and I hope to graduate by the end of the year with a doctorate degree in healthcare management.
Well, congratulations, Michael. What would you say about this process and this new way of finding yourself, of reinventing yourself, what would you say? How would you describe it? How would you qualify it?
Well, I think there's different aspects of it. I think one is you have to be able to stand out from the crowd, and that's something else that this process in the portfolio brings to you. Because now with the internet, you can have people from Timbuktu applying for a job here in Houston. And so you're competing with hundreds of applicants, and half of them maybe don't even meet the qualifications, but they're just creating all this noise for the poor people in human resources departments that they have to select from hundreds of resumes. And that's why I think one of the things that the portfolio brings is that if you send that mail directly to a manager, the hiring manager of the position, you stand out from the crowd. And that's what I did when I applied for this job in healthcare. But the other thing is it just helps you redefine who you are, and it helps you identify, okay, this is what I bring to the table in a very concise manner. Because if you're not able, right now people are so busy, and the world is more and more fast-paced, that if you're not able to explain what you're about in 2 or 3 sentences, people just lose interest. And so I think it helps you define exactly who you are. And like for me, I'm a quality engineer. I'm an expert in problem solving and all areas of quality improvement, and I'm the guy you need to hire.
Knowing what you know and doing what you've done, would you say that this would be applicable to anyone? I mean, you could be a salesman, or you could be an engineer, or you can be an accountant, or you can be somebody that works as a team member of a trade group. Would you say that that could be applicable to almost anybody?
Yes, absolutely, because I think having this brochure and going through this process about yourself, no matter what it is that you do, it certainly helps you. It helps you define exactly what you're about, exactly who you are, and it just gives you a lot of confidence. Even when you go through the interview, a lot of the questions that you're going to get in the interview, you already answered going through this portfolio. They're going to ask you, what are your main skills? What are your main accomplishments? And what will your references say about you? All of these things are included already in there, so you already thought about them, and you're ready to articulate them very convincingly in an interview. And I think that it's definitely applicable to anybody.
Well, Miguel, thank you very much for sharing that with us. I know that you're a very happy person. I know 1 week or 2 weeks after that you were at the job, I called and said, how are you doing? He said, I go to Disney World every day. And I think from our audience standpoint, you ought to find the place where you go to Disney World every day. This is a process that's applicable to a lot of people. Market yourself to the top, and you being product you. And so I would like to ask you to subscribe, follow us. We've got some great advice. You know, this show is all about you. We want to make it about you because you're important, and we want to make sure that you have every possibility of getting whatever you want to get in your career, as well as like Miguel. He went into education. He's a happier guy. So thanks again, and we'll look forward to seeing you in the next segment.